these little ones right here. So that's good. Let's just toss it back in there. Then this one, let's see. Oh, another little bag again. They really love the little bags, huh?
$52.
52? Wow. Is this the same thing? Astley? Astley. Told you guys, I'm 32 going on 7. I laugh at stuff like that. Let's see, let's get all these off. Playboy slides. Then we got, okay, Lorenzi.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Cowboy boot heels.
No, they've been worn, but still super
Nice,
clean. Yeah. Super duper clean. Put them right here.
Chanel box.
Chanel, come on. Of course.
Open it.
Of course. Of course that's the empty one. Of course that's the freaking empty one.
Biscuit.
Yeah. There we go. Oh, there we go.
Bad brand.
No, and those are really clean as well. How are all these going to be in there and the Chanel's be empty?
Because it's always the case.
Always. And the last one here. Those are also brand spanking new. Let's go, man. This is a really good box too. What do you guys think FS Garage means? I'm going to say fancy.
Fancy
well,
stuff.
I can't say the other. There we go. We'll go stuff. I was going to say something else, but.
PG stuff.
Okay, let's see. Let's put this right here.
That's some mixers.
Let's see. Got a little mixer, kitchen lighter one. Oh, let's see. Well, I got a tissue. Something to wrap. Oh, did that just come out of this?
I think so.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, here it is. Look, it's a pair of earrings. Those look like some big old diamonds, don't they? Ooh. What do you think?
Want the loop?
Yeah, if you have it, let me see. I don't see anywhere that looks like a marking.
It's usually on the stem.
Let's see if
So
we
you have
can.
to pull the back off. You really turn the light on?
Huh? Yeah. Of course, man.
Wouldn't we? You don't turn the light on?
No.
Oh.
Let's
But you
see.
spin the stem and it's usually on the side here.
I don't see anything. I don't want to be not optimistic here, but I don't see a marking. You tell me if you see anything.
Oh.
Because I don't see anything on it. But if those are diamonds, those are huge. Like $52 here, and there's another brooch. Okay, nothing too crazy in this one.
Yeah.
Let's set this aside. Unless those are diamonds, then that's pretty wild. Let's see. This one, though, this is the heavier of the two. And in there we got, oof. Yes, this is what I like to see. This is what I like to see.
Or that heart thing.
What is this? Is this silver by any chance? Let's see. Open up, open up. Ooh, yep, 925. That's sterling. That's a big sterling heart right there.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And it's wrapped up with all this right here. This is going to be...
Also looks real.
Yeah, that's an earring. Let's drop that back in. Oh, there's rings in there too. I think this is going to be gold too. Let's see. I see the marking right there. Keep the light right there. 10 karat, it looks like right here. Check that with the loop too.
10 karat locket and
See if that, there's something marked right there.
Also, the necklace is gold too.
Yeah. Well, this is...
There's another locket too.
This one's silver too. This is sterling. That's a big one.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You should keep and put a picture of me, and then you can always.
I can wear it on my
open
heart
it
all
up
the
and
time.
be like, it's pirate.
Every time I'm going to the unit, it's bad. I'm gonna be like, what would pirate do? Pull it out.
I always say, what would Jeebus do? So that's only fair.
Let's see. Oh, this is gonna be gold too. This is definitely gonna be gold. Yeah, this is 14 karat gold right here. And I don't know what the gemstone is, but 14 karat gold. What about this one? That looks like it's gonna be silver as well. 925, that's sterling. This one right here, that looks like similar stone to the other one.
That's an emerald.
Is it? 14K. That's
That is
14K
nice.
right there. There we go. What about this? I don't see a marking on that. These earrings, I struggle with the earrings, man. Like the markings are so itty bitty. It's just, you can't see nothing. I don't know about the earrings, but the fact that the stone looks very similar to this makes me think it might have came in a set, and it might be 14 karat as well, because the stone looks very similar to the ring. And then, I mean, there's some other little pieces in here. See, look at that. Like, look at that stone right here compared to this stone that's clearly marked 14K. Yeah, they're different, aren't they?
This
It's a little different.
It's not?
No.
Okay, yeah, it's a different color. Look
No,
close
that's
up
more
first.
like a peridot. That's more like an emerald.
Okay. Well, I mean, still, this is still just gold and silver. Quite a few gold rings and a few pieces of silver again. So I got a bathroom toiletries box, not because I'm interested in toiletries, but a lot of people put the jewelry box in the bathroom. Get ready in the morning, look in the mirror. Oh, let's put this ring on, that ring. Boom. So let's hope that's the case here. That here is just a spa girl plate. Okay. Put that over here. Then this, what is that? Open up. I'm scared. No, just a towel. I said that as I'm scared, as I just reached my hand right in there for it. No regard. There's a bag. There's a bag.
Something in those?
This one,
They look
no.
like lunchbox.
This one feels like there might be.
Makeup travel bags.
That's what it is. Stop fungus. Yeah, let's not mess with that. Let's put that back up here. Come on, one of these is gonna be jewelry, right? This one right here. Q-tips. Come on. No. After I just saw that anti-fungus scream, I'll pass. Magic frog soap. Where's the jewelry? It's got to be in there. It's gonna be in there. Nope. Soap dish. This one, candles. Then this one, little thing of flowers. Nah, it's not in here, unfortunately. Julie, can I please ask you to have YouTube appropriate toys? That's what we're asking for here. Please. When I see a box that says toys, I'm both excited and nervous at the same time.
Julie, I won't be mad if they're not appropriate.
I will be. Okay, they are. At least it looks like they are.
Okay.
It doesn't look like. Look at that poor dog. What is that? No way. Is it another one?
Baby fat.
That's heavy. This is the one we couldn't find though, right?
That's a good thing, though.
Yeah, no, that just means it's more rare. And it's, look at that.
Wow.
Brand new in the box again. Okay, let's put that over here. These plushies, I guess, will just drop down for now. Let's see. Look at these ugly dogs. I'm sorry to all you people that own them like that, but no.
It's a charger from the other one.
You think for the other bone we found earlier?
A Motorola baby fat charger.
Okay. This bag, by the way, is just objects. Never mind. So, I mean, the toys, no. But this is probably valuable. But let's try this one. It just says living room accessories. It's kind of a toss-up there. Could be fire, could be nothing. Oh, I see bears. I see a Mercedes bear.
What's happening?
Look, that's exclusively a Mercedes-Benz bear.
Wow.
That's cool. I didn't get one of these. Look, these are both Mercedes bears.
Oh.
What is this one? Just a pug? A little something for your free Merry Christmas. Oh, there's nothing in there. That's rude. Oh, what is that? There it is. Oh, a little mixer. Okay. I never seen a Mercedes bear. That's kind of
Put it up
cool.
there.
I'm gonna put everything up here really quick and then keep digging. Let's see. What is this paper? Oh, look at all these cards.
Wow.
And I see this. What is that?
Pet set.
Oh, dog cards. Not what I was hoping for. Let's see. This one looks kind of randomly mixed in there. We got plates. We got, oh, what is that? That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Got some DVDs. We got some more dishware. This is stuff that was probably displayed in the living room. Ray Dunn cheese things. Okay, that's good stuff. Nothing in there. Let's check the other side. What about all these cards? Think there's anything in these cards?
Wooden box and cards.
Well, that's got a little figure in it. Look at that.
From Germany.
Yeah, from Germany. It's music too.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. Put that back in here. And then let's open a few cards. I have to. The likelihood, unlikely, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to try. Like this thing. This one right here, watch. Here you go. $100. Oh, there's not even a card in there. Rude. Empty envelope. This one. Come on. Bang. Oh, come on. These are like thick envelopes. See, they're trolling me. I'm not going to get trolled no more by them. This is my last one right here. Come on. Oh, it's got a card. Here it is. Ready? Boom. No, nothing. This one says master bedroom. It says picks and frames, but also figurines. These people obviously had money. What kind of figurines are we talking here? What the heck is that?
Feathers? Ooh,
Oh.
a masquerade.
Let's go.
Put it on.
Ready? How do I look? Do I look good?
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Cutie patootie.
Ooh. Whoa now. No. What's in these? These look like pictures I probably shouldn't see. No. Okay, there's nothing in it. Yeah, no, it's just a wedding photo. I thought it was going to be worse than that. Let's take this out really quick. What? Is it good?
It's just a nice
Okay.
photo.
Something clean at least. Right here. No, it's just a candle. What about this one right here? What is it? Decor.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's see. This one. There's the pug.
No, they didn't have a whole photo shoot for the dog.
I'm sure they did.
The dog was in a sweater and jewelry.
Probably bought that expensive silver jewelry. Oh my gosh. This dog had his own life, man.
Oh.
He was living large. He was living large. What about this? I haven't seen no figures though. Everything I've seen is in pictures. So what is that? Again, Vegas thing. Where are the figurines? Lots of pictures. Man,
There it is.
that's what it was?
That's
this
the figurine?
freaking pug or whatever it is. Oh,
The Man in Black dog.
yep. Well, a lot of books.
Look on the other side. There's more stuff wrapped too.
All right, what is two? Nothing. Okay, put that right here. On this side, you think?
Yeah, on the side.
Let's dig a little deeper. Dig a little deeper. Photo albums. Yeah, this one feels slightly heavy. Let's see. What is that? Like a remembrance type thing? What about this? Is that in there? Huh, how do you open this box?
Slide it?
Slide it.
Which way?
I don't know.
We can't tell. You got to figure it out.
It's a puzzle.
My figuring it out would be hitting it. Oh man.
Drugs.
Yeah. Fair enough. I would say mints, I hope.
It did say mints.
Yeah, no, the rest of it's just books. This unit has been crazy, but we split this. Remember, there's more content from this storage unit on their channel, so make sure you go check all the other videos out. If you enjoyed this one in particular, there's more on screen right here. Check them out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.
Okay, so something genuinely strange is happening at the edge of the observable universe, and nobody, and I mean nobody, fully understands it yet. When the James Webb Space Telescope started sending back its first deep field images, scientists were already bracing themselves for surprises. Webb was always going to be revolutionary. That was the whole point. It was designed to peer further back in time than any telescope before it, to catch the first light that ever flickered on in the cosmos, to help us understand how galaxies formed, how stars ignited, how the universe went from a hot, featureless soup of particles to the staggeringly complex structure we see today. So, yes, surprises were expected, but nobody expected this. Scattered across Webb's deep field images, these impossibly sharp photographs of regions of sky so small they'd be covered by a grain of sand held at arm's length. There are these little objects, tiny, compact, almost easy to miss if you're not looking for them. But once you see them, you can't unsee them. They glow with this deep, almost burnt reddish hue, sitting there against the black of space like tiny embers. Astronomers started calling them little red dots, and that nickname, casual as it sounds, has stuck in the scientific literature because frankly it describes them perfectly. And the thing is, we don't know what they are. That's not hyperbole. That's not the kind of "we don't fully understand this yet" that gets thrown around loosely in science communication. This is a genuine, active, ongoing, scientific mystery that has some of the world's most respected astrophysicists scratching their heads, rerunning their models, and in some cases seriously questioning whether our foundational understanding of how the early universe worked might need to be revised, possibly significantly revised. These little red dots appear to exist at extraordinary distances. We're talking about light that has been travelling toward us for over 13 billion years. They seem to be impossibly massive for how early in the universe's history they exist. They seem to be putting out extraordinary amounts of energy from incredibly compact regions of space. And they show spectral signatures that don't quite match anything we were expecting to find. So today we're going to dig into all of it. We're going to talk about what these objects actually look like in the data, why they're so confusing, what the leading hypotheses are for what they might be, and what the implications are if any of those hypotheses turn out to be correct, because some of those implications are genuinely universe-altering. But first, to understand why these red dots are so shocking, you need to understand what we were supposed to find out there. Chapter 1. What we thought. The early universe looked like. Let's set the scene. The universe is approximately 13.8 billion years old. We know this with remarkable precision, thanks to measurements of the cosmic microwave background, the faint afterglow of radiation left over from the early universe, combined with observations of how fast galaxies are moving away from us, and a whole suite of other cosmological tools. 13.8 billion years, That's the age of everything. Now, in the very beginning, and we're talking fractions of a second after the Big Bang, the universe was unimaginably hot and dense, a kind of primordial plasma where matter and energy were effectively indistinguishable. There were no atoms, no molecules, certainly no stars or galaxies, just a seething, expanding fog of fundamental particles. As the universe expanded, it cooled. After about 380,000 years, it had cooled enough for electrons and protons to combine into neutral hydrogen atoms, an event cosmologists call recombination. Before this moment, the universe was opaque. Photons couldn't travel freely because they kept colliding with free electrons. After recombination, the universe became transparent for the first time. Those photons streamed out freely, and they've been travelling ever since. We see them today as the cosmic microwave background. But here's the thing. After recombination, the universe entered what's called the cosmic dark ages. There were no stars yet, no galaxies, just vast clouds of neutral hydrogen and helium gas, slowly being pulled together by gravity. The universe was dark, cold, and relatively uniform. If you could somehow be there, you'd see nothing, absolute darkness in every direction. Then, sometime in the first few 100 million years after the Big Bang, the first stars began to form. These were not stars like our Sun. They were enormous, potentially hundreds of times more massive, and they burned hot and fast, living violent, brief lives before exploding as supernovae. They're called Population 3 stars, and we haven't directly observed any yet, though Webb is trying. As these first stars and the first primitive galaxies began to form, their ultraviolet radiation started ionizing the surrounding hydrogen gas, essentially stripping electrons from atoms again. This process is called reionization, and it gradually transformed the universe from a foggy sea of neutral hydrogen into the more transparent, ionized state we see today. Reionization is thought to have largely completed by about 1 billion years after the Big Bang. Now, within this framework, which is called the Lambda Cold Dark Matter Model, or Lambda CDM, and represents the current standard model of cosmology, there are very specific predictions about what galaxies should look like in the early universe. They should be small, they should be young, they should be irregular and messy, because they haven't had time to grow and settle into the elegant spiral and elliptical forms we see in the nearby universe. They should have relatively low masses because mass accumulates over time through mergers and star formation. And the supermassive black holes that sit at the centres of galaxies, which power some of the most energetic phenomena in the cosmos, should also be in their early stages smaller and less energetic than the monsters we see in nearby older galaxies. This was the picture, tidy, logical, well supported by decades of theory and observation. Webb was sent to test this picture, to observe these early, primitive galaxies directly for the first time in proper detail, and almost immediately the picture started showing cracks. Chapter 2: The Telescope That Changed Everything. Before we get to the red dots themselves, it's worth taking a moment to understand why Webb is capable of seeing things that no telescope before it could see. Because the engineering here is genuinely extraordinary, and it's directly relevant to why these discoveries are happening now rather than 20 years ago. The Hubble Space Telescope, launched in 1990, was a revolutionary instrument. Its deep field images, the Hubble Deep Field, the Hubble Ultra Deep Field, were iconic. They showed us that even a tiny patch of apparently empty sky was packed with thousands of galaxies, each containing hundreds of billions of stars. Hubble changed our perception of the scale and richness of the universe, but Hubble has limitations. It primarily operates in visible and ultraviolet light. And here's the problem. The universe is expanding. Objects that are very far away are moving away from us very rapidly, and this causes their light to be stretched, shifted toward a long
Do we have definitive proof of life on other planets?
And that's been the question I've been excited about since I was a little kid, looking up at the stars and wondering who else might be out there. A lot of my work also asks that next question of who's living there? Is anyone living there? Could we actually try and find life? And there are many interesting ideas for how life could have begun. It does seem like life started very quickly, but the thing you have to be careful with that is that it took 4 billion years to go from whatever that first creature was all the way to us. And if that's typical, then Earth doesn't have that long left, and it's terrifying.
Dr. David Kipping is a professor of astronomy and astrophysics at Columbia University. He's here to definitively answer the question, is there life on other planets? And what can we be doing to prepare?
I try to remain very open-minded about what the real answer is. We have no idea what the motives of an alien would be.
We seem to have evidence of ancient microbial life on Mars.
When we talk about biosignatures like the Martian rocks, or looking for gases in alien atmospheres, why do scientists feel comfortable calling that legitimate science, but we feel uncomfortable talking about UFOs as legitimate ways of looking for aliens? For astronomers, it's not a question of if. Surely there's someone out there, but it does raise the question, why would they have any interest in communicating with us?
Hi, I'm Mayim Bialik.
And I'm Jonathan Cohen.
And welcome to our breakdown. We're very honored today to feature literally the guy whose job it is to search for life on other planets. We're talking to Professor David Kipping, and Dr. Kipping is a professor of astronomy and astrophysics at Columbia. He's the director of the Cool Worlds Lab. He also has a YouTube channel by the same name, Cool Worlds, with over 1 million subscribers. And Dr. Kipping is here to definitively answer the question, is there life on other planets? And what can we be doing to prepare for that information?
He also discusses the evolution of human life, how we got to this point, and what Earth will look like in 1 billion years, just a blink of an eye in evolutionary terms.
He's also going to talk about black holes, wormholes, the multiverse, and baby universes. All that and so much more. We are thrilled to have Dr. David Kipping join us. Dr. Kipping, welcome to the Breakdown.
Break it down.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to finally be here.
We would love for you to start us off with what are you most excited about in terms of the work you do and what it means for the larger universe?
That's a great question. I mean, that's a very broad question. It's a very fair one. I do so many things that excite me, to be honest. My daytime job is looking for planets outside of the solar system and ideally trying to find moons around those planets as well. So we call these exoplanets. These are just planets outside the solar system. Technically, you could call planets inside the solar system endoplanets. Endo, like inside, but nobody ever calls them that. And then the moons around those planets we call exomoons. So we've been on this journey for the last 25, 30 years of going from absolutely no information whatsoever about planets outside our solar system. So maybe, you know, for all we know, it could have just been the 8 that we have in our backyard, and maybe that was it. I mean, people did seriously speculate about that. They looked at other stars and they said, you know, there could be something special about our own star. And now we know, when you look up at the sky, that on average, every star has at least one planet around it, often much more than that. So it's totally blown us away with just the numbers that are out there. And then yet more, the diversity. So we're just discovering every day you pick up one of the latest astronomy journals and you see what's being found. It blows our mind over and over again. We're finding so many planets that are in between the size of Earth and Neptune, for instance. And we just don't know what they are. Are they scaled up versions of a rocky Earth, super Earths, or are they scaled down versions of a gas giant, a gas dwarf? And we're still just totally in the dark, really, about the nature of those. Or maybe there could be something else entirely, like a water world or something. You know, these are the questions that get a lot of exoplanet scientists very excited. And then, of course, a lot of my work also asks that next question of, well, you know, who's living there? Is anyone living there? Could we actually try and find life? And for me, I mean, that's been the question I've been excited about since I was a little kid, was looking up at the stars and wondering who else might be out there. So, you know, we could talk about all of those things, but you know, that's a broad brush of all the stuff that gets me excited.
I mean, is Kevin Costner on the Waterworld planet is what I want to know, but that's probably outside of the scope of this conversation.
I mean, if the universe is infinite, then everything happens somewhere, right? So Kevin Costner's out there somewhere.
I just like thinking about David taking his lunch pail to work and being like, did I find life on other planets today? No? All right, not the best day. Let's keep going back.
It is often a journey of, I mean, that's what discovery is. Science is often like that, of highs and lows. So there's an emotional roller coaster involved in all of this. But generally, I think it's a very exciting time to be alive.
This is actually something I was discussing with my older son, who's 20, because we were stargazing the other night, and I was telling him that story that, you know, we old people, meaning someone who's over 40, will tell that, you know, memorizing the 9 planets was my main job in terms of my relationship to astronomy or the universe. That was my job as a kid, right? And that's sort of where things stopped for us. There was no internet for us to be looking things up. Our knowledge about the universe was incredibly vast and incredibly limited. And in just this one generation, I have a child who very casually understands that, oh, there's trillions and trillions of stars and planets and there's other galaxies, and like, we're not alone. You know, that's just like a normal thing, right, for this next generation to be experiencing. Can you talk a little bit about sort of the bridge? What would you say is kind of like the most definitive breakthrough that we have seen that allows us to go from there are 9 planets to there's actually only 8, and also there is so much beyond that we can now actually search for biosignatures. We can search for what it looks like when other planets possibly had life. What's that bridge? What happened in this generation?
Yeah, you know what? I think there's actually two. There's 2 bridges. One is conceptual, which is just purely in our own heads, really. We could have found exoplanets much sooner than we did, but it was us that got in the way. And another was technological, which is the obvious answer. So I'll give you the conceptual one first. So even in the 1970s and even arguably in the 60s, we had the capability with our telescopes to measure the wobbles of stars at a level of precision which was enough to detect some existing known exoplanets that we've detected in the recent years. So to be able to do that, you have to be able to see a star move back and forth and see its speed change at order of hundreds of meters per second. And the very biggest planets, which are really close to the star, because obviously the closer the planet gets to the star and the heavier it is, the more it can tug that and make it move around and oscillate very fast. A good example is like, if you get a coin drop and you throw a coin down one of those charity wells and it speeds up as it gets closer and closer and closer and closer. And it's the same thing with planets. Like the closer in they get, the faster they orbit, and so the faster they tug the star that they go around. So some of those speeds were approaching thousands of meters per second, and we could have detected them back in the 60s and 70s. And actually in the 1950s, there was one astronomer, his name was Struve, Otto Struve, and he was completely forgotten about at the time, but now everybody cites him as kind of this genius who had this insight. But he pointed out that, hey, maybe sometimes Jupiter-mass planets don't live really far away from their star, like Jupiter does and Saturn does. Maybe sometimes they get really close. And of course, everybody thought he was crazy. It was like, how... No, that doesn't make any sense. Like, we think we understand how Jupiter forms. You need lots of ices to make these gas giants, and ice would not be stable that close to a star. So, it would be too hot. So you can't possibly make a Jupiter that close. So everybody just kind of dismissed him. But we now know of many, many, many hundreds of these so-called hot Jupiters that were lurking in our data for years, even decades, without anybody just looking for them. So I think there's just a conceptual barrier that we grow up, as you say, man, like we grow up reading this textbook. Here's the solar system. Here's what it looks like. And I think for a generation or more of astronomers, it became ingrained in our minds that that was the template. Like everything else would look like that, more or less. And then when we found it was totally different, we went back and we're like, oh, damn, we could have found this stuff a long time ago. And then the big technological breakthrough was just CCDs. So, the same camera technology that we use in our iPhones and in video photography, like my DSLR camera I'm talking to you right now, that chip technology enabled a much higher quantum efficiency of capture of photons. And so we were able to go from basically, maybe capturing 10% of the photons to nearly 100% of the photons. So overnight with that technology, you get basically 10 times more photons and thus square root 10 higher signal to noise in your data. So that was a huge breakthrough as well.
Now I'd like you to take us to something that happened very recently, where we seem to have evidence of some sort of ancient microbial life on Mars. And this was something that when you posted about it, you said something very tender, for scientists among us. And what you said is like, my heart can't take it if this is not evidence of life on Mars. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about, if I were to ask you the basic question, do we have definitive proof of life on other planets? Where would this Mars data fit into that?
So speaking to my Mars colleagues, because I don't study Mars, I'm not a solar system planetary scientist, but speaking to my colleagues about this, the data is very tantalizing. So you see these kind of speckles which look like this sort of things that you get from microbial, from bacteria inside rocks. So that's enticing, but of course we don't have direct evidence of the bacteria in those rocks. We haven't collected a sample, we haven't brought it back to Earth, we haven't dissected it and pulled apart its DNA and been like, yeah, okay, now we're 100% sure this is life. So it is another example of a biosignature, I think would be fair to say. A very nice biosignature, but still an example of a biosignature. So that means a indirect telltale sign of life. But we've seen that before with Mars. So years ago, there was methane on Mars that was claimed. It's still there, and it's still a very provocative potential signal of life. But a lot of debate has started since then that maybe this is geological. Maybe there are methane traps deep inside, underneath the crust, that are leaking out sometimes, and it looks like this seasonal biological activity, but in fact, it could just be something geological going on. As the crust warms up, it releases some of this gas seasonally. We've also seen it most famously. I remember as a kid, going back, you have to be old to remember this, Bill Clinton stood on the White House lawn and talking about this famous meteor called the Allen Hills meteor. And it had these little worm-like fossils on it. And everybody was just so excited. Like, this seemed like the real deal of life on a Martian rock. This wasn't actually collected from Mars directly. This was a rock knocked off Mars that then traveled to the Earth, came through the atmosphere, landed in Antarctica, and someone picked it up and put it under a microscope. And that meteor still is very enticing, but in the years that followed, other laboratories were able to show that you could make something that looked very, very similar to those little worm-like things without any biology involved, just kind of passing water and the minerals that you find on Mars together. You can sometimes get things that look like that. So that's always it's the story, and it took this like broken heart. This is this recurring tale that we've had over and over again, where we see something that looks like something we see with life on Earth, and then years pass sometimes, and scientists do all of that due diligence, and they find out there is another way of producing that signature. Now, that in itself doesn't prove it's not life, because it could, just because you can make it without life means it still could be life, but it provides an alternative rational explanation that doesn't require the aliens to be invoked. And normally, as you know, scientists tend to lean on like the simplest, dumbest idea we can get away with, the least sensational idea we can get away with. And so for these reasons, Allen Hills, Martian methane, and who knows what will happen with this one, but there has been a recurring story. So we just have to kind of be braced for that. Like, the lessons of history teach us that we often do get disappointed.
Mind BLX Breakdown is supported by IQ Bar. one of our absolute favorite snack, hydration, and coffee sponsors. IQ Bar protein bars, IQ Mix hydration mixes, and IQ Joe mushroom coffees are the delicious low-sugar brain and body fuel that you need to win your day. The Ultimate Sampler Pack is a great way to try all IQ Bar products and flavors. You get 9 IQ bars, 8 IQ Mix sticks, and 4 IQ Joe sticks. All IQ Bar products are clean label certified and entirely free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMOs, and artificial ingredients. They're packed with clean, delicious ingredients that keep you physically and mentally fit, like magnesium, lion's mane, and so much more. IQ Bar's plant protein bars are the smarter snack choice with plenty of plant protein, tons of fiber, and no added sugar. IQ Mix is a zero-sugar drink mix that hydrates with electrolytes, improves mood, and boosts clarity. IQ Joe is a mushroom coffee designed for mental clarity and packed with 200 milligrams of natural caffeine. Plus, it comes in 4 different flavors that will totally transform your morning routine. We look forward to the limited edition and seasonal flavors, too. When IQ Bar sent us their Ultimate Sampler Pack, I instantly was interested in the coconut chip. That's the first one that I reach for. The bars taste great, and Jonathan will attest to any flavor because he loves them all, and I often find wrappers right here before we start recording. Right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, including the Ultimate Sampler Pack, plus free shipping. To get your 20% off, text BREAKDOWN to 64,000. Text BREAKDOWN to 64,000. That's BREAKDOWN to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. My MBLX Breakdown is supported by Shopify. Starting something new isn't just hard, it can be downright terrifying. So much time, so much effort goes into this thing in the pre-planning phase. You're not even entirely sure it will work out. It's hard to make that leap of faith. Trust us, we know. When we started this podcast, I wasn't really sure what Jonathan was even doing. What if no one wants to be on here? What if no one listens? What if I make a fool of myself? Well, now I know that Jonathan was right in believing in ourselves, despite all of my fears and hesitations. It also helps when you have a partner like Shopify on your side to help, like we do. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., from household names to first-time business owners just getting started to a little podcast like My MBLX Breakdown. Shopify has been our one-stop shop for all of our merch store needs for several years now. Get started with your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store that matches your brand's style. Accelerate your efficiency, whether you're uploading new products or trying to improve existing ones. Shopify is packed with helpful AI tools that write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. It's time to turn those what ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/breakdown. Go to shopify.com/breakdown. That's shopify.com/breakdown. We have a strong interest, and as you said, we now have the technological capability to explore these things. Let's go to life on this planet, though. Before we sort of, kind of continue our pursuit of life on other planets, I remember sort of in basic biology lab, one of the first things we were taught about was, how do we try and create essentially us from nothing, right? And the model that was taught when I went to school, when I was an undergrad in the 90s, there was some unlikely, unexpected thunderstorm, and there were enough organic, ions floating around in some sort of primordial stew, right? That's what we were taught. And maybe lightning struck, which also, brings into this notion, the luck hypothesis, right? Lightning struck, and now, we are human. And there's a lot of steps in between. Can you talk a little bit about, obviously we've spoken to Robin Hanson and to people about like the panspermia hypothesis. What is it about the creation of life on this planet that seems to defy a lot of the sort of logical approaches we have to trying to understand how we got here?
I think the most challenging thing about trying to make any inference about life more generally based off us is this anthropic principle. So we are only here because we are here. There is a survivorship bias. So it's kind of like, taking all the lottery winners and putting them in a room and asking them, how lucky do you feel about playing the lottery again? And they'll be like, oh yeah, it's easy. Like you just buy a ticket and after 100 tries, you win the lottery. But that's not representative of most people. Like most people will play the lottery their whole life and never win. So there's an enormous bias in just taking winners. And we are a winner in this game of biological evolution and even the start of life itself. this story of how life started, of course, is a big mystery because, frankly, we don't have a time machine and there's very little relics left over from that long ago. We're talking basically 4.4 billion years ago when the oceans first formed on the Earth. There are very, very, very few rocks left from that time. And of course, if we are really arguing for a very simple microbial life form, perhaps it was the first thing to emerge, that would not leave much of a fossilized imprint for us to detect. So this is why this detective story is so difficult. And there are many interesting ideas for how life could have begun. I think we desperately just need another sample in terms of that origin story. And I've looked at this myself in my own research. I've asked the question, it does seem like life started very quickly. That seems like a good thing we believe. Like within the first few 100 million years, it looks like life was on the Earth. And so it's tempting to lean on that and say, therefore, whenever you have Earth-like conditions, it must be easy, because otherwise how did it happen so quickly? But the thing you have to be careful with that is that it took 4 billion years to go from whatever that first creature was all the way to us. And if that's typical, if it typically takes 4 billion years, then actually, surprisingly, the Earth doesn't have that long left. You kind of have to start life quickly in order to get to us. So maybe on most other planets, life starts, but it takes 2 billion years, 3 billion years, 4 billion years. That's fine. But those creatures would never have time, at least for a sun-like star, to develop into a creature like us, because the Earth will become uninhabitable to complex life in probably less than 1 billion years. We are already in the last chapter of the Earth's biological history. I think that's kind of a striking fact that we don't talk about enough. It's shocking. We're at the end of the story, not the beginning of Earth's history. It is, even on geological timescales, it is kind of a shocking thing to note. And so perhaps that explains why life started early, is that it was necessity to our existence. And in most places, that doesn't happen. So this anthropic effect makes it very difficult for us to say anything with firm confidence, except for the fact we know for sure it did happen.
That leads us back to this question about life elsewhere. Obviously, the Fermi paradox is one of the easiest hard ways to think about this. But, there's something that is so precious and also, in a culture of this planet, right, that has, kind of created religious organization in order to explain the things that we can't explain. Many people turn to something divine, something, for lack of a better word, alien, that must have had a hand in our evolution. How else would you explain it, right? And a lot of, sort of people from the religious perspective will say, well, if you can't recreate it in a lab, it's because you can't, because it needed God, right? So I wonder also, is there something special about us? And how big is your God? Is your God big enough to extend outside of this galaxy, right? That's sort of the question. Do we need that specialness to create life elsewhere? Or can life exist, right, outside of our, sort of conscious perception of how things are created? Can you speak a little bit to that complexity, that we create?
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of things about even our solar system that we can say, because of the work we're doing with exoplanets, that is unusual. And the question is, to how much does that extend? How far does that rabbit hole go of uniqueness, of specialty? The Earth has a large moon, so that's already pretty weird. No other planet in the solar system out of the 8 planets. If you count Pluto, maybe this goes out the window because Pluto has a very big moon comparatively as well. But out of the main 8 planets, no other planet has such a large moon. And it's thought to influence the tides. It's thought to influence the obliquity of the Earth. So that seems positive. Jupiter's influence has often been invoked as something that appears unusual. Less than 10% of sun-like stars have a Jupiter. And we can tell that from the exoplanet work we're doing. That means that just having 2 Jupiters in your backyard is actually pretty special already. Having nice circular orbits, coplanar orbits, is unusual. Having 8 planets is pretty unusual. Having a star which is as quiet as our star is unusual. If there was aliens looking for us, we'd be really easy to find. Our star is bizarrely quiet. It's like, but that's what gets in the way most of the time of us finding other planets, is the star misbehaving. our star is almost like a light bulb. It's very easy to find us for an alien. So all these things are interesting, and they raise questions about uniqueness. And I love this connection that you bring up to religion and to theocracy, because we have this tendency in science, and it's one of the things I complain about sometimes amongst my colleagues, is that we see anomalies. We see something strange that looks special, like the Earth does. Maybe it's an interstellar asteroid. Maybe it's a star that's doing something strange. And we see it, and it's an anomaly. And so we, like a burning bush, we inject a miracle to explain it, which is aliens. We say, there's this creature which can do anything. And that's kind of the problem with aliens. Like a god, they can explain any observation I give you. I can't, why did your alarm not go off this morning on time? Oh, aliens did that. Why did you not feel well last night? Was it the alcohol? No, it was aliens that did that. You can explain everything with aliens. And that's a problem for aliens as a hypothesis, because it shares that ability with a god. And so time and time again, we talked about Mars earlier on with these anomalies, these like methane or these worm-like fossils that were detected. But those are all anomalies that were later explained or explainable with other scientific rational explanations. And that has been this recurring theme in alien hunting for so long. There have been over a dozen claims in science of aliens out there. And every time it's taken a few years, but other people have come along and said, hey, I think we just don't understand the astrophysics well enough. Here's a way you can do that. So that is a weakness a little bit of the alien hypothesis that we don't talk about enough, that it's too malleable as a theory, but it is very rational to think that there could be someone out there doing this stuff. It's just that it's almost intellectually lazy to invoke it, because you can get away with murder when you invoke aliens. It's just like, oh, aliens did that, and you're done. You don't have to think anymore.
This notion that, the things that religion has allowed us to fantasize about in our culture, we've kind of replaced it with aliens, with energy, right? With spirituality, right? Like all of these things that are basically aliens did that, and guess what? If you can't explain something, sometimes it just means we need more science. As kind of an amateur here, but I'm really torn between, on the daily being freaked out that we are conscious beings. Meaning, I'm one of those people who throughout the day will have these moments of, oh my goodness, like I exist, and like what's happening, and I made a child into an adult. Like, how did that happen? Like, how am I here? So I spend a lot of time in that space. But when you expand that out and you say, like, how are we here? And we're on a hurling rock that's like kept in orbit because of this like moon, what? So when you then take that, like, that's enough for me. Like, I stopped in the 90s. That was plenty. But now we're living in this world again where we get to say, why would we be the only ones? What would give us the idea that we would be the only intelligent beings in this universe? Or why do I have to assume that life is carbon-based? It is here, but the whole point of something that's unfathomable is that it's unfathomable. So I'm kind of asking you, less as, an astrophysics, astronomy specialist, but more as like a human. What do you imagine? Like, what do you really imagine is going on outside of this galaxy?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I have ideas about what I hope to be true. I think we all kind of have these facts, or facts that we believe in, because that's always debatable as well, what you consider to be a fact. But we have this set of facts, and then with